So this is quite a quick section on maintaining the safety of the gym environment. It is a vitally important part of your job. Cleaning is dealt with something slightly separately in the next section. By the end of this lesson, you should be able to identify handover information that needs to be provided at the start and end of a shift, how to record this information, describe the appropriate checks required to maintain the safety of a gym environment, and identify how to supervise a gym environment to ensure members can train safely. So handover is very important. What you find is often clubs have very long opening hours which extend past one shift, so it's very unlikely that one person is going to look after the facility for the whole day. Therefore there may be things that happen in the earlier shift that need to be passed on to people on the later shift. So before you move on, just have a think about what kind of things you expect to be there, and then maybe discuss it with someone online or through the chat. These are kind of things that are included in the handover. What maintenance checks have been carried out, what cleaning tasks have been done or what hasn't been cleaned yet, any faulty equipment that's been made out of order, any relevant customer information, any risky people, any inductions that have been booked in, ad hoc promotions that are running, or any kind of class cancellations or someone that can't turn up, or changes in staff. So those are generally what happens. That gives people, as they come onto the shift, an idea of what they can expect and what they'll be dealing with. Maintenance checks are quite a key role. You find if you don't do the checks, quite often things gradually stop working, and then more and more things are not working or become dangerous. Whereas if you check things regularly, you can take remedial action, you maintain the life of your machinery, and just everything lasts longer and is in nicer condition really. So the things you might check are things like electronic consoles, are the cables free and intact, are the power cables hidden and not a trip hazard, is upholstery on things like the gym benches in a good place, are all the nuts and bolts tight. If you can catch a bolt that's loosening and tighten it up, it stops something going wrong later. So these are really important. It should be part of the normal operating procedures to check these, and ideally this is done by some kind of checklist, and there's a good example of a checklist on page 19 of your manual. So again, this is something you can do when you go to a gym next. Have a look around the equipment and see what might be in, what might you include in a checklist for a fixed machine, for some free weights, some portable equipment. Have a look at the nuts and bolts and see where things might get worn. Again, you can reference the checklist on page 19. So the other scenario you tend to find yourself in is when walking the floor or being available for members. Generally you can make good use of this time or not. So good use of the time, you could spot an untidy weights area, you could spot spillages, you could look at clients' exercise technique, offer support there when they can to improve that. You could look to see if there's overcrowding in one area that looks like it might be dangerous, and you can suggest other areas where people can do their work, and you can look are people wearing appropriate clothing or footwear, and again support them in these things. So if you think about it, if spillages are done quickly, if weights are tidied up quickly, if training and labelling is put in place with the weights areas, generally the area will work much better, much safer as an area. So next time you're in a gym, have a look around, spend about 10 minutes walking around and see some of the things that could have been spotted or have been spotted by the staff there. So you should now be able to identify information that needs to be provided at the start and end of a shift. You should be able to describe the appropriate checks required to maintain the safety of the equipment, and you should be able to show how to supervise a gym environment to ensure everyone is safe and able to train.